Eliya, welcome to the Mountain of Mastery podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
What would 10-year-old Eliya, looking at yourself now, think about what you're doing with your life, how you're thinking, and could you ever imagine that you'd end up where you are right now?
Literally not at all. I mean, first of all, she would not believe that she's eating meat. I thought I would die. People would ask me in elementary school, like, oh, would you rather die or eat meat? And I'd be like, die.
Why is that?
I think I was raised
Yeah.
to love animals so much, and my whole family is vegetarian, so it was pretty instilled in me from a young age that, we value animals, we love animals. And I mean, when I was growing up, I was able to do whatever I needed to do as a vegetarian. Like, it didn't get in the way of my life. But once I got into bodybuilding, I started thinking about it more. And at the point where I decided that I wanted to compete, I feel like there was really no doubt in my mind that I had to do it.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, you were a vegetarian for how many years?
20.
And you'd never eaten meat once.
Not even like a little bite, nothing. Kids would always make fun of me. Oh, I'm gonna sneak it into your lunch. I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna have a panic attack. You can't do that. But no, never.
So you've been eating meat for how many months now?
I took my first bite of meat in September. So I guess that's what, like 7, 8 months, something like that.
Yeah. But okay, apart from the vegetarianism, how from growing up in Massachusetts, Boston, not in the city, kind of more in the suburbs, what would, from your world there when you were swimming, you were playing soccer, you were getting your 4.0s in your classes, like doing bodybuilding is, for some people looking outside, they say, how did you end up on this path? Maybe thinking about, well, no longer doing pre-law and growing such a following in a short period of time on social media. What kind of were some key events which changed that trajectory for you?
Well, I think starting when I was younger, I was gonna be a vet because I loved animals again. And then once I got into high school and everything, I realized I actually was horrible at math and science, and that was not gonna work out for me.
When you say you're horrible, you still got good
Horrible, I was
grades.
getting perfect grades, but it just wasn't where I excelled. Like, I was taking AP level, like English and Spanish, history, all those kind of classes. And then in my sciences and maths, I was usually in like the normal kid classes. I would still get perfect grades, but I definitely was not like prone to being good at. I was not a STEM girl by any means. So I realized that that wouldn't work. And I started thinking about, okay, well, I obviously need a career. So what am I good at? I'm good at arguing. I'm good at reading. I'm good at kind of analyzing arguments and writing a paper based on that. And all of those signs kind of pointed towards law.
Mm.
So I applied to colleges. I thought maybe I would swim in college when I was younger, and then I kind of realized in high school, oh, I'm actually not as good as I thought.
Yeah.
And I don't love it as much as I thought. So that kind of went away, and I wanted to go to a really big school, really far away. I didn't apply anywhere in state. And I was like, I'm not nearly good enough at swimming to swim at any of these big schools. So once I got into college, I really thought I was going to be pre-law. And then I guess some moments that kind of changed the trajectory of my life would be, I guess I started getting into the gym and I really loved it. And then one day I had a friend say that she knew someone who she thought I would really get along with and that she wanted me to meet. And that was you. And we actually met a few months later, and there was like a bike ride home from Gold's Gym. The night that we met, we decided to go to the gym together at around 10 o'clock, and we were biking home in the rain, and we just had a really good connection and a really good talk. And once I figured out that you did bodybuilding and you had so much passion for it, and I'd never heard of bodybuilding before.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that people got up in little suits and sparkly bikinis and a
And
fake tan.
initially you weren't really like
I was disgusted by it. I'm not even lying. Like, you would show me pictures of, I don't know, sebum or like top competitors, and I was like, that's actually foul. Not even the women. The women I thought were especially foul, but I was like, what the hell are they doing? Like, that is gross. And the fake tans I thought were ridiculous. I was like, they look like floating heads. Like, this is so silly and kind of vain. And I never saw myself doing it.
so how on earth did you go from that to where you're actually just, 12 weeks out from your first bodybuilding competition?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty, I would like to say that it developed like gradually. No one forced me into it. It wasn't like, you should do a show. And I was like, oh, pushover. Okay, I guess I should. I had a few people just randomly in the gym come up to me and say, do you compete? And I literally asked them, like, in what? Like, I didn't even know what that meant. I thought that maybe meant powerlifting. Like, I had no idea that bodybuilding competitions were a thing. But I guess once I met you and you kind of started to tweak my split a little bit, you had me actually on a structured routine, because I would just go to the gym every single day and kind of hit whatever I felt like hitting. So you kind of helped me with a structured routine. And once I started doing that, actually taking rest days, doing cardio, I saw a lot of changes really quickly to my body. Like, I started putting on a lot of muscle, losing a ton of body fat. And then we did a cut and a bulk together, and I put on a ton of size. And you had just done your first show, and I was kind of living that exact same lifestyle there with you. And I was like, well, if I can do, an hour of cardio every single day, eating on my meal plan every single day, hitting my lifts, hitting my steps, living the exact bodybuilder
And
lifestyle
you enjoyed it.
and loving it. I'm a huge routine person. Like, why wouldn't I take the one extra step, which I guess it's not one, but like, to get super shredded and see how I stack up to other people, because I am putting in the work day in and day out. So
I guess, okay, so you're putting in the work, but how over time did you come to appreciate maybe the bodybuilding look? Like, it's definitely, as you said, for me, for example, I remember when I was like 10 years old or something, I saw on YouTube Chris Cormier and Flex Wheeler in Gold's Gym, which we've been to now.
and we've also met Chris Cormier.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I thought it was the coolest thing from even then. But you weren't like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love muscles and bodybuilding. Like, it came. So are you saying that maybe like the routine and discipline, you fell in love with the process of it, and then in doing that you came to appreciate the physiques more and just
Yeah, I think, well, I definitely didn't love muscles from a young age, because even when I was in middle school and high school, I would literally get bullied for having big arms, and I'd never touched a weight. I'd never done a bicep curl.
people would say you had a what?
I literally had a guy in middle school ask me if I had bicep implants, and I was like a 12-year-old girl. Like, what kind of girl wants to be asked that? I was so scared to wear tank tops and have my shoulders out because I had pretty broad shoulders, just from swimming, I think, and just genetically. So I definitely did not always like the muscular look, and I tried to hide it. I literally have like pictures in my Snapchat memories of me like sobbing over thinking I looked too manly. So it definitely wasn't always like this. I definitely think that through the routine and just falling in love with what it was, that I came to respect the competitors so much more. But initially I liked the look of wellness the best.
Yeah.
I love the look of wellness competitors. I think they look like majestic. And honestly, for a while there, I was really debating, should I just never hit upper body again and just full send going into wellness? But I realized that would be pretty stupid, because genetically my upper body is like bigger than my legs. So I would be playing exactly against the cards I've been dealt.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting. So if we go on to your physique and how your social media has literally gone from just over a year ago, pretty much no followers, starting a gym Instagram account, Eliya Lifts, and going to over, at this point in time, at this recording, it's 260,000 followers. I mean, I've been doing social media for 5 years now, and I've seen a whole lot, and that is a ridiculous growth in such a short period of time. there's definitely a lot of people that'll be wondering how on earth is it even possible to grow that much. And there's definitely a bunch of factors. I think one of them, if I was to analyze, we knew from the beginning. I said to you, you have like even when I just met her, I literally
doing a bad job.
I literally swiped up to a story because one of my friends at the time, still a friend, Lauren Nitschke, posted on a story this girl doing a front double who was Lauren's in my year, Leah was the year below, so she was a freshman coming in, and I was like, that looks crazy or something like that. Yeah. So even when you'd been doing the gym and you were just passionate, but you would, as we know,
I had no idea what I was eating.
You weren't eating right. You
didn't know how to train.
Yeah, doing just. There was a lot of things that you obviously, when you corrected a couple of things, your physique absolutely changed way more. But from a genetic standpoint, you obviously were very gifted. Yeah. From a bodybuilding perspective, and even I remember at the start, like, you know, what did I say in terms of, you know, the
one of the first things he said to me was like, I just know if you did a front double like on camera with good lighting, you would go viral.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it's clearly happened multiple times now. So, but I mean, anyway, I feel like with my experience, I could just see, like, you know, it was just, first of all, yeah, most girls who are, you know, maybe blown up social media, they just, you know, it's the more probably OF fans, you know what I'm saying, looking like small waist, maybe big legs, etc. Yeah. But like, there's really not many girls that like have the, you know, upper body, which in like a good way, you know, as in like, it's just like bubbly round, you know, arms, or just, you know, like just that, even your legs are obviously big, but just your upper body was from early like a pretty crazy genetic point, which I've seen social media stuff and I just knew it would stand out. Like, it's a blue ocean, you know, like there's not many people that look like that, as unique.
I think a lot of people also that have like commented on a few of my videos that have gone pretty viral, it's like the combination of my face, which is like, as you know, I have very chubby cheeks. So I have like a baby face, as some would say, in combination with these really big arms that, like, if I start the video and it's just my face and my hair and I'm wearing a cute little outfit and then I hit a front double, they're like, where the hell did that come from? So like the shock factor of it, I feel like is almost, it plays into it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's unique, right? It's unique. Yeah. And it's just like, in the same way that, like, there's obviously tons of guys, and you've seen it now, you know, as you've seen, you know, me looking at other bodybuilders, if you've been to my shows or etc. Like, there's a lot of guys who look crazy, but it doesn't stand out because guys and muscles is not some new concept.
Yeah.
But, you know, a girl with an upper body that genetically stands out, and just, you know, yeah, maybe the fact that obviously
I still look feminine and whatnot.
Yeah, like it's very unique. And so like the combination of that, like few different factors, definitely standing out on social media definitely contributes to growing at like a faster rate.
Yeah, I feel like I've been not lucky. I mean, there is a component of luck to everything. I've had like one video go extremely viral. It literally got 45 million views, which is like unreal.
Most people will never ever even get anything close to that, which is insane.
I was so shocked by that because I didn't think that video was anything special. It was literally me doing like a stomach ab vacuum. But I have had several videos get millions of views, and I feel like it is just, those are the videos which obviously, you know, I'm not putting effort into. It's literally just me standing there hitting a front double.
Yeah.
Which is kind of whack, but I guess people are really shocked by it, and then people are very divided. Oh, is this something that's good? And they think, you know, I look pretty and that's great. Or on the other side, you look like a man and you're transgender and this is disgusting, I'm gonna throw up. So I feel like I've had to build like a very tough skin, or like thick skin throughout my social media growth, because I don't know, I feel like I kind of had thick skin going into it, just about like what those weird people online would say, just because like what kind of a person is
if you click on any of these people's accounts, I mean, immediately
it's like a fake page, or like they're weirdos.
Or just a guy who has an account like that and he's commenting like it's clearly obviously something that is not.
Yeah. So I don't usually take it to heart.
And has that ever been an issue for you, like genuinely, like from the time you've
not on social media? I mean, I think like in high school and middle school, what other people said to me really affected me, even in college, in the first year of college, before I started social media. But I honestly think since I've started social media, I've grown to really care about what the people around me, like the people who I'm close to, and really value their opinions say about me.
Yeah.
But anyone else, I honestly could not care at all. Like, if you are not someone who I would want to trade places with, I'm not going to take your advice, your criticism, your anything.
Yeah.
So for my close circle, absolutely I value what they have to say about me.
And has anyone in your close circle not been supportive of you?
No. I mean, I wouldn't say not supportive. I think like as anyone would experience with something so extreme as bodybuilding, like maybe it's a little bit of not understanding or thinking that it's a phase or just not really having it click in the beginning. But
Yeah, because obviously anyone who knows bodybuilding is, especially doing it the way we do it, it is, and
Yeah.
it's definitely, I'd say,
we do it different than anyone.
yeah, like there's not too many people at this age doing it like as seriously in a sense,
Yeah, we both take our off seasons like incredibly seriously. So even on a bulk, like
Yeah, even for bodybuilders at this age, they'd be like, why does it need to be that extreme? But as in, obviously then for people that have no idea about bodybuilding, it's extremely regimented.
Yeah.
They can't understand why you're not eating certain foods certain times. They
why you
can't
have to go to the
understand
gym at a certain time.
why one meal matters, or they can't understand why needing to do a split even, maybe on a holiday or something,
Yeah, going to the gym
It's just-
during
it's
holidays,
necessary
hitting
when-
your steps, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so obviously completely understandable. But
But no one gave me like a hard time or told me, pressured me into eating other things or
But in a sense, as in you've had a strong backbone from a strong, circle supporting you in what you've been doing, which, as you mentioned earlier on, is very different from what you maybe thought a couple years ago.
Yeah, I definitely think my family has always been super supportive of me and whatever I do, and they're always saying, we think you'll be successful in anything you
And they're
put
amazing,
your effort
obviously.
into. They're what?
I'm saying they're amazing.
Yeah, I love my family. They're the best. So I don't know. When I said I was going to be a lawyer, they were committed to helping put me through law school and support me through that. And they said I was going to do amazing. And then when I kind of had to start that conversation of, hey, I actually think instead of, taking the 4 years of college and doing maybe a gap year and then going to law school, I'm actually going to graduate college in 3 years. With my AP credits, I had enough to graduate in 3 years, and I'm not going to go to school after. And I am going to pursue online coaching and my bodybuilding and social media. It definitely wasn't something that was like, oh my goodness, yes, like, yay, we've been waiting to hear this. But I think with enough conversations and explaining where my head is at and where my passions are, then they came around to really supporting it.
And evidence.
And yeah, I think it would have been a different conversation if I came to them with 400 followers and said, hey guys, I'm actually not going to go to do a career. Oh, and no online coaching clients. And yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Whereas now I'm working with brands. I have a roster of clients that I'm balancing with my school before I graduate. And I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to pivot full-time to this rather than part-time. It's a lot easier to swallow, I guess.
Yeah. And so, yeah, delving into that more, how has it been for you to have such a change from maybe what you first thought you'd be doing when you went to college? Like, talk me through, and for people that don't know, how has your life changed and what has the progression been like from, joining a sorority immediately in freshman year and, going from being in a sorority, maybe having the first few months go maybe a bit of an extreme way to like the complete other end of the spectrum of, super disciplined in the gym aspect,
Yeah.
as opposed to maybe going too far the other way, or at least compared to what there was before in such a short period of time. Like,
Yeah, I think honestly, just with the type of person that I am, when I do something, I do it 100%. So when I got to college, I guess I came from this small town. I was really thinking about, okay, I've never really had a party scene. I've never had a big group of girls. I want to meet people. I'm coming from the East Coast. I don't know a single person at this college. So I'm going to rush. I'm going to do a sorority. If I hate it, I can drop it. But I might as well. And that happened literally before school even began. So I started the recruitment process. I got a bid from my top house, which for those of you who don't know, that just means like they offer you a spot. And honestly, like the house that I wanted to join is like a top sorority, so it was very exclusive, and I was super excited to get that offer. So I joined, and in that first 2.5 months of school, we had a TA strike pretty early on, which basically meant that our classes were like not real. So
Teachers assistants.
yeah, so all of our classes basically turned to online, like no real finals or assignments. So school was super easy, which meant that I could get away with going out literally 4 times, maybe 5 times a week. I would go out Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and then sometimes there were Sunday parties called like dages, which is like a day rage. And everyone like wears the bikinis and just gets like day drunk. So I went, as Gon was kind of saying, a little bit insane that first quarter, just with like, I guess the amount of opportunity that I had to go out, which had never been there for me before. And also every single one of my sorority girl friends were doing the same. So I didn't think it was anything super bad.
That was the norm.
I thought it was like pretty normal. I wasn't really alarmed by it. But I would literally black out 4 nights a week or something. And like I wouldn't throw up, nothing bad would really happen. I just wouldn't really remember what had happened the night before. But all of my girlfriends were like, haha, that's so funny. Like they hyped me up to keep doing it. The more crazy stories I had, the funnier I was and the more appealing I was to go out with other people because they thought it was hilarious.
So do you think there's almost like a thing there where your identity in a new place was almost wrapped up in like this game, which you're playing a certain game, winning a certain prize, meaning like you're playing the game of being in the sorority. The sorority game is if you have the craziest story, that's the drama, and that's the thing that people talk about.
100%.
And then you're almost like stuck in this identity.
I had to keep getting a crazier and crazier story to keep the attention.
Then, this fun, exciting story person, where's the stories? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we would have like a brunch every Friday morning, which was the morning after. On Thursday nights, we would have these things called TGs, which stands for Themed Gathering. And so we would all go out and do crazy stuff. And then that Friday brunch, it's almost like a competition of like who has the craziest story from the TG last night. So we'd all sit there and talk about stuff. So it definitely was like, I guess at the time I didn't feel pressured into it, but looking back, that has never been me. And even with going out that often, I was still turning in all the assignments I needed to. I had a 4.0, but as I said, classes were very easy. And I was going to the gym every single day still. And I also was under the delusion that hard alcohol was only 10 calories per shot. So in my little head, I was like, perfect. Like I can go out, I can drink however much I want to, and it won't affect my gym progress.
So when did that change actually? Was there a moment?
There was a moment, and it was when Gon rudely clued me into the fact that I was 10 times off. And after that,
Do you remember actually what that specific thing was?
I just remember we were talking about alcohol, and I was like, said something about how like, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter because like it's 10 calories.
I was like,
And you were like, actually, it's 100. And I was like, no, you're joking. And we looked it up. And after that moment, I actually could not look at it the same because every single time I went out, I was like, oh my God, I'm having like a third of my day's calories in just drinking. Like, oh my goodness. So that really alarmed me.
So you already knew about macros and calories before?
I knew what a calorie was. I did not know macros.
Okay.
I didn't really understand fats, carbs, protein, any of that. So then I guess once you had kind of clued me into all of that, I had the desire to like make physique progress. I wanted to get stronger in the gym. I wanted to build certain muscle groups. And by the time I had met Gon, I was already starting to become really like not liking the whole sorority game anymore and going out. And it had been winter quarter now, the strike was over, classes were getting harder, and I couldn't get away with going out as often as I did, and I just didn't want to. I remember when I'd gone home on winter break, like on New Year's Eve, I literally sat down on my bathroom floor and I wrote out a list of like New Year's goals for myself. And it was like, stop blacking out as often, get good
Ambitious.
grades. Yeah, I was ambitious for what I've been doing. And I was like, you just need to like settle down and chill. Like basically it was telling myself to like get a grip. So I was kind of already on that path when I met him. Um, so it made it easier to like, I had already wanted it, but I didn't really know how. And I also didn't know anyone else doing that. And I felt really lonely. So when you were, you didn't drink at all, you didn't go to these parties, you didn't do that, and you seemed very secure in yourself. I was like, oh, like I have someone else that I can like, we can just hang out and do homework or like go to the gym together. So that made it a lot easier.
And so for anyone out there who may be even a guy who's, because obviously the principles are pretty similar for guys and girls, there's someone who has the desire there. They maybe were like an athlete in high school, you
Yeah.
won your state championships in swimming. As you mentioned, you had the work ethic there, but maybe the talent in the swimming sense, you weren't, a Michael Phelps or, the
Yeah.
equivalent. But you had the work ethic. You told me stories about how there'll be practices where there's people that would obviously just get the best times, but you knew in your heart you were training way harder than them, even if they got better
Yeah.
results.
I would like go ahead of them in the lane. So like I would be swimming faster than them in practice. They wouldn't put in any effort and then they would go and like break the records and I was like,
Yeah, so
damn.
maybe in that, you had the mindset to be great, but maybe the
The
vehicle wasn't,
natural ability was not
and that
there.
obviously matters in sport to an extent. But what were the main differences you changed in your routine, and what kind of advice would you give to someone who has the passion? They're going to the gym regularly, but they want to take their results to the next level, because you can really, the change is night and day since you made a few tweaks. What were those tweaks, and how did it change everything, right?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I think nutrition was the biggest thing because I was eating, first of all processed foods. I was eating probably 2 protein bars, like 3 scoops of protein powder a day. I was eating in the dining hall, so I didn't have a food scale or anything of that sort. I would eat a lot of Greek yogurt and peanut butter, and I also did not understand macros and
So what was wrong with your macros?
I think I was eating a ton of fat and basically no protein. So, or the protein I was eating, maybe I was eating enough protein, but just way too much fat because I would eat an insane amount of peanut butter and also tofu and eggs, which are also, they're great, but they're high in fat. So as a vegetarian, it's like really hard to find protein sources that aren't high in fats. So I don't think I had an accurate gauge on how much I was eating
The
because
calories are probably different day to day for sure.
it changed every day. And also, I think because the food I was eating was lower volume but higher like calorie density, I thought I was eating a lot less than I was,
Mm.
and that caused me to gain weight. So when I got to college, I think I was maybe 130 pounds, and after my freshman year, I was 150.
Yeah, but what about after just full quarter? Because after the whole
After
freshman year,
full quarter, I was maybe 135 or 140.
sure, but the rest of but I guess we didn't necessarily change everything immediately. I wasn't.
No, you only really started changing things for me sophomore year, honestly.
But
So,
the cardio and the training
well,
did,
okay,
did
yeah, and
change.
another thing that definitely changed was as I said a little bit before, I didn't take rest days because I was under that like false mindset of like rest days are for bitches, like who needs to rest? So I would literally just train every single day. I didn't do any
What was
cardio.
your split at the time?
My split was pull push legs. I didn't really understand. I don't know. And then I would just like kind of
And
repeat.
how many sets? How many exercises?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't have a set routine. I would kind of just go in the gym and do whatever I felt like, which meant that every single session I was switching what I was doing. But usually I would spend 2.5 to 3 hours in the gym. I would probably do like 10 exercises, probably 4 sets of everything, pretty high reps.
To failure?
I don't think I even knew what failure was. Probably to like slight discomfort.
Okay, and so for the person out there who's thinking, okay, Eliya, when she first started, was here. She gained 20, 25, 20, 25 pounds of muscle in like a very short period of time. What were the main needle movers? What actually changed the game for her? How can I get these results like her?
The main needle movers were 100% buying a food scale and starting to track my food, like every single gram, because I think most people really, really are inaccurate in what they eat. They think they hit their macros, but how could you know if you hit your macros if you're not measuring your food?
Sure, but correct me if I'm wrong, just to quickly summarize. I feel like obviously there's the diet, tracking your food, sure, cutting out unnecessary amounts of cardio, increasing intensity in the gym, and lowering volume and frequency, so you're taking more rest days.
Well, and also just doing progressive overload.
And
So,
tweaks
like,
here and there on
having
how to actually
form.
hit your form.
But having an actual set split, I think, was a huge game changer of I'm going in the gym and I'm doing these certain exercises and I'm going to try to progress them every week.
Yeah.
Because before, as I said, I'd go in the gym and it was the rec center, so it was crowded a lot. I would just kind of, switch around whatever exercises I did because, okay, it's leg day. I'll do whatever leg anything is open, which is fine. But again, you're not going to be able to know if you're getting stronger.
So you were going to the gym to just work out. You weren't actually training.
Yeah. There was no intention behind what I was doing. So I think the biggest thing was getting a split, actually taking rest days, actually implementing cardio, as like intentional cardio, and tracking my macros and having a set meal plan that I follow.
Yeah, and so your physique has obviously changed a crazy amount, but how would you say your mindset has changed, from, again, growing up maybe in like in a small town? I mean, I say this because growing up in London, it's a massive city, there's tons of people.
Yeah.
And, obviously having visited, Wayland, the difference it is pretty crazy,
Yeah.
And obviously like that's literally all you ever knew. And obviously like you have incredibly smart parents. I was not saying like, some difference there because there's a bunch of obviously, it's not like there's a difference really in you have great teachers,
Yeah.
great environment. But I'm just saying from the perspective of like, there weren't as many people to like, or maybe like, because in a city, people at younger age do different things. Like you maybe going to college at the first time at 18, you're experiencing, but in London, maybe like Desi's already experienced it, maybe like 15, 16.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like one of the biggest things coming from such a small town is that most people are doing the set life path of you go to high school, you go to college, you graduate, you either go to a grad school of some sort or you start working immediately, you climb that corporate ladder and you get a stable career.
And a prestigious.
And you go to a really good university.
How was your experience with maybe deciding to go to colleges and how you viewed them and how you maybe just viewed the education, hierarchy or system in general, and how has that maybe changed now? Like before, maybe just, correct me if I'm wrong, but the more prestigious the name, the better the university, and the better the title, then the better just my life is going to be because I'm going to be able to get this better set path job.
Yeah. I mean, there was a ton of pressure, not even put on me by anyone but myself.
And that's just internalized from maybe the education system that you're in?
In my high school, everyone was really competitive. So we would always talk about,
So that was the game to play.
Yeah. It's kind of cool because like being smart was cool at my school, which I think is
cool because
I think that's really good.
In the UK, it's not that. If you're smart, it's actually not cool.
Yeah, in my school, it was like the kids who were good at sports and good at school were like the coolest kids ever.
Yeah, that's crazy. The culture's different.
And we would like not fight with each other, but like we would definitely, be comparing what did you get on the test and what did you get on the ACT and the SAT and what's your scores on all these things. And we were very competitive about where we were applying to colleges and whatnot. So for me, I think I applied to 16 schools, and I think out of the 16, 12 of them were very prestigious universities, like top, 20 in the country. And that mattered a lot to me because, you know, I had this, whatever, 3.98 GPA. I had a 33 ACT. I took all these AP classes. I definitely prided myself on being really, really academically on. And I thought, you know, obviously, yeah, I go to college, I go to a really good college. I get, again, a 4.0 at that really good college. I'll take the LSAT, I'll get a perfect score or whatever, a really good score. And then I'm going to go to a top, what is it, like T14 law school or whatever. And then I'm going to, you know, get paid a ton and I'm going to be raking in the cash as a lawyer and my life is going to be perfect. But when we applied to colleges, at least for my class, it was the class of 2022, we got kind of screwed over because the year before us, a lot of those kids had deferred. So they got into college and yeah, they didn't want to go to COVID college and do like basically online school for the first year. So they deferred and decided to like go as a freshman when my class would be coming. And the colleges didn't expand their, you know, acceptances for the next year. So they just already had this set amount of spots reserved.
So there's less spots for you.
So there were just way less spots. So
Which
every
someone out
thing,
there, well, as a person who didn't obviously do the American high school system grading, how could you possibly get such a high GPA and those schools didn't allow you? Like, how does that even make sense? Like, you got top grades, like basically
and
a 4.0.
I had good extracurriculars. I had good essays. I had good recommendation
what did you
letters.
learn? What did you learn from that experience where you basically did the work and you did what everyone else said should have got you this quote unquote success, but it didn't come? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, I never actually said what happened. Well, I applied to all these schools and I ended up only getting into my safety schools, which, I mean, I'm very lucky that I got into UC Santa Barbara school.
But at the time you weren't thinking that.
But I thought it was one of my last choices. It was a safety. It was below me because it's a party school and it's not that hard to get into. The acceptance rate is like 34. I was thinking in my head, I'm going to go to a school that has an acceptance rate of like 10 because that's where I deserve to be because I put in the work. You know, I got all the things that should make me a top candidate. I did interviews at some schools. They went great. And I just got rejection after rejection. I literally cried almost every single day of, I think it was like March, late March, because that was when all the acceptances came out and I just kept getting hit in the face over and over.
And looking back, like, how do you process that now? Because obviously at the time you must have been thinking, this is unfair, this is ridiculous. And there's probably, you know, what would you say to like your younger self, or like maybe there's someone else listening who has had a similar experience? Like what would you say to, you know, maybe have a more positive light on that situation?
I think like, what's that saying? A lot of people say like rejection is redirection. And looking back at where those schools were that I had said I wanted to go to, and I had imagined this dream life for myself at, and now everything, my whole, you know, life future was crushed. Looking back, I really don't think I would have liked the way that my life would have turned out. Obviously, you never know, but I'm really happy with the way that my life has gone. And I think that once I knew I was going to the school that I was going to, like, I really changed my mindset around like, okay, you know, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm going to get to go to school on the beach. It's beautiful. I'm near my grandma. I'm near my aunt and uncle. Like, I'm going to get
California is beautiful.
Yeah, it's warmer. I get to be near family. I'm on the beach. You know, it's not a bad school by any means. And I'm really lucky to be able to go here. My family can pay out of state tuition. Like, there are so many reasons that it was an amazing experience. So, and obviously, you know, with the people that I've met and the choices that I've made, I'm so glad that I did that, because I really think that like changing my life over and doing bodybuilding and finding something that I actually like lights my heart on fire and I am passionate about, it is changing my life for the better. And I really don't know if I'd gone to another school, would I have met someone at the right time who knew about bodybuilding, who was going to, you know, show me how great it was, but not pressure me into doing it. Like all these things lined up. What?
Or find it on your own.
Or find it on my own, and find a good coach, and what all these things properly introduced me to it. Like, I might not have gone down the path that I'm going down now, and I'm so grateful that I am going down that path. So yeah, I don't know. Like getting rejected from the colleges, it really sucked in the moment, but I also think that's kind of why I love bodybuilding because it is something where what you put in is what you get out. And so with colleges and all that work I put in, it felt like I put in all this work and I didn't get anything in return. But with bodybuilding, even if I don't get whatever placing in a show, I know that my physique has changed so much just based on looking at progress photos. So the
You've
work that
already
I'm
won, in a sense.
I won. Like yeah, it'll be cool to step on stage and see how I do, but I am so much about like me beating me and me continuing to get better and no one can take that away from me.
Yeah, and I think interesting if we kind of switch tracks from okay, so you had this maybe law vision, right? Talk to me about your vision now, and just to maybe give a story or a journey for you to, or a point for you to expand on that we talked about. What does 30 million in the bank mean to you, and what does a thought experiment like that do or did maybe to change the way you look at what you want to do on a day-to-day basis and maybe in the future, or definitely in the future,
Yeah.
and yeah, just your thought process on that.
Yeah, so to give a little background on that story, Gon and I went to the Fit Expo in LA last January, and we were just like, okay, let's take advantage of this. You know, it's a ton of people doing fitness and maybe we get some free stuff and
And
meet some cool
bodybuilding.
people. Yeah.
And we definitely did. We had a
We
bunch of
got so many Alanis. And so we drove to LA. We went for the day and we met a ton of cool people. We met like Derek Lunsford and Hani Rambod. Um and on the drive home, we were really talking about because he was going to graduate that June and we were thinking about our future and what life was going to look for us after his graduation and then after my graduation a year later. And we were really thinking about, he asked me, what would you do if you had 30 million in the bank?
And why did I ask that?
Because if you have 30 million in the bank, you're not working for the sake of working and earning a living. Anything that you're doing is you're doing it because you love it.
I think there was like a Harvard study or something, and it was basically like, you know, the utility or the gain from earning more money caps out at 30 million because you basically can't buy anything else. Like when they say money buys happiness, like there's maybe some evidence that shows that to an extent, but when you reach 30 million, like you can basically buy everything, maybe apart from like some yachts or like an island or something. But
Yeah.
so the point of the thought experiment was like, okay, so if you had that money, what would your day look like? And I guess the idea behind it is like, well, the things you would do if you had that money are basically priceless in a sense. They're obviously not priceless, but it's like, if you had all that money, like, and you'd still do this thing, that must be incredibly valuable then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we were thinking, and for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think it was very stressful for me because on one hand, I had this certain path that I had said for years that I was going to do. I'd kind of sold my family the dream of I'm going to do this stable career, this law thing. And they were really excited about that. And on the other hand, I had this very uncertain future where at that point I had maybe 1,000 followers on Instagram.
So you'd already started this a couple months ago.
I started the Instagram over the summer, but I posted maybe like 5 times total in the like 6 months because I honestly felt embarrassed to post because I didn't have any followers.
Which doesn't make any sense, right? Because how are you ever going to get followers unless you don't post?
Exactly. But it's like the fear of starting because you don't want to, no
Look
one
stupid.
wants to look like that wannabe influencer or like you're an imposter. I'm in the gym filming myself, but I have no followers. Like I felt so dumb and I didn't want to ask him to take pictures of me because again, I felt embarrassed. I also didn't think my physique was like really worthy of taking pictures. And I really didn't think I had anything to offer the world. I was like, what am I going to do? Post a picture of me flexing and then what? Like, I don't have anything important
So what
to say.
changed that?
Well, I think it was really that car ride. So on that car ride, we're talking about what we want our futures to look like or what they could look like. And we're thinking about, okay, what are our favorite parts of the day? For me, I was in school, but was school really what I was looking forward to? Was I so excited to get up and go to my classes and do my homework? No, not at all. But I was super excited for the time of the day that I could go train. Every single day I was so excited to go train, and I loved eating my meals. At that point I was already eating on a meal plan, so I was weighing out my food, eating the same foods every single day. Seeing the progress. And this was all while I was living in my sorority house. No one was doing what I was doing. They all thought I was incredibly boring and really weird. Because I wouldn't eat the food. They had a chef there at the house. I wouldn't eat a single thing that the chef made. They had a salad bar, and I would grab like cucumbers, maybe some lettuce, and they would all make fun of me as I like walked out of the room with my vegetable plate. But I really loved going to the gym and eating on plan and seeing the progress. So I was thinking, yeah, if there was 30 million, I would definitely be going to the gym every day, but I honestly have no idea what else I would be doing. That's the only thing I can pick out and say I really 100% for sure would do. I would hopefully have a dog, and I would go on walks with that dog, but other than that, I don't really know. So on that drive home, he was saying basically, okay, well, you say you want this life. You say maybe we could travel the world and post pictures and post pictures at gyms and do all this kind of stuff, and you say you want that, you say that this is your goal, your dream, but you're not doing anything to make that happen.
Was I that harsh?
You were kind of harsh. You were basically, it wasn't in like a mean way, but it was basically saying like, okay, well, like basically, are you willing to put in the work to get what you say you want? And if you are, then I can help you. Because, he'd been doing social media for a while, and he'd seen the growth of his account, and he's seen what it could take and all that. And at that point, again, I'd posted maybe 5 times. It was all horrible quality, watermark from TikTok, front camera was blurry from a weird angle. And he was saying, okay, if you actually want this, then you should post every day. You should post on your stories multiple times a day. I can take some pictures of you, like we'll get good quality pictures, and you should provide good free value to your followers.
What did you say? Oh, I have nothing to say.
I said, I have no value to give them. I don't, because, I was still pretty early on into the whole bodybuilding, gym stuff. And I was like, I don't know anything. I can't say anything. And he said something that was really important, is like basically just talk about what has worked for you, your experience, because no one can say that that's not true. And I was like, okay, you're right. I can talk about what I've done. I'm not going to say that this is the factual, scientific based way, but I can tell them what I've done and what's worked for me.
Yeah.
So I started on that day when we got home. I was like, okay, again, I think I said this earlier, like when I commit to something, I am 100% in.
Yeah.
So when we said that, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give this my best shot.
So when I was writing them captions, you were writing them captions.
We would sit down together and we would, do our daily post. I posted every single day from that January, probably until now. I never really missed a post, and I'm writing. In the beginning, every caption was basically long. Now, you can't write every single caption long for 400 posts, but I write, as many long free value captions I can.
Yeah.
And he kept his side. He took pictures of me, and I didn't feel as bad asking him to take pictures of me, so we got some content.
But just for clarity, I would have obviously taken the photos.
I know he would have. I just never asked. I just felt embarrassed. I was like, I have literally 1,000 followers. Like, why would he take pictures?
But did you believe you could do it from day one? As in, from that moment, did you believe that you could do it?
I honestly don't know. I think I was still very uncertain, and I even remember...
Because I knew.
Was that sophomore year? Oh, no. The summer before that, so like that summer I had gone home and I worked as a swim coach all summer. And I remember telling my friends at home, I was like, guys, my boyfriend has gone crazy. he's trying to convince me to leave my stable career path and try to become an influencer. Can you believe that? And they were all like, oh my God, he is insane. Like, you an influencer? I was like, I know, like, it's literally laughable. Like, why would he think that? How can I do that? Like, I'm not that girl. I had no faith in myself, and I thought you were crazy. And I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but he thinks I can do this, and I just don't think I can. And it's so unstable. And I was really scared. I love stability. I love routine, and I was really scared that I would just be thrown into the unknown and I had nothing to back me up, and I would just be like floating out there, and I wouldn't be able to earn a living for myself, and I would just be lost.
Well, let me just touch on what I saw, you know what I'm saying? And why was I so confident, right? Well, first of all, I'd been doing this for 4 years already, and not just doing it, I'd been pretty obsessed with it, right? So I'd seen a ton of physiques, you know what I'm saying? Obviously guys mainly. And I feel like I'd made so many mistakes, or I'd had to learn the hard way when it came to, I had this camera that I started with that a friend's family friend, it was an old version, and it was this terrible Canon camera, and the photos were horrendous, and I didn't know how to use a camera, and I didn't know how to use I didn't even know what an SD card was. I didn't know how to upload it into a computer. I didn't have a computer at the time it could be uploaded into. I didn't know how to make these, didn't know how to make a YouTube video. I didn't know how to write captions. I had no idea how to do an edit, how to edit in Adobe Premiere Pro, how to do a Lightroom edit, how to add captions, like as in on the top of a video, like in Photoshop. There were so many things I didn't know. I didn't obviously know how to do the training. I didn't know how to do the cardio. I didn't know how to do the diet. I didn't know how to pose. I didn't know how to take photos or have someone take photos of me. I didn't know what a tripod was. And there's the list goes on and on and on. But throughout this process, I'd slowly found out about, Canon M50 was a decent camera. Now I know a Sony, the one that I have is way better, but ZV-E10 II. But there were all these things where like it took me a long time to figure out. But in doing that, I could see, potential, I guess, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely saw in Eliya, it wasn't just obviously the genetics, obviously there's a combination, but she had a crazy work rate from day one. I remember meeting her, and she told me about her GPA, and I wasn't like, oh man, like, that's, you have a high GPA, you try hard. I was deeply inspired because the first year I was there, story for another day, but the GPA wasn't the best. It wasn't terrible, but like, I believed that I knew that I'm extremely competitive. And I saw that GPA. I was like, well, there's no way I can't do it then as well. So guess what? From then on,
quarter,
I basically got all A's. You know what I'm saying?
We were definitely, and we took a few classes together. And in those classes, it was like, what'd you get on that essay? Oh, what'd you get on that essay? Like, we were really competitive, and his grades definitely went up. I mean, mine have stayed up, but yeah.
But anyways, I think that I could see that the work ethic was there, and I knew that the genetics were there, and the passion was there. So like, I could pretty clearly see, like, if she put in the work and she just obviously didn't spend years making these mistakes I did, I could just say, hey, post daily. It took me so long to even gain the confidence to post daily because I didn't know anyone else doing it. And like, I don't know, I didn't even have enough photos. I didn't know, the different kinds of content to post. Like, you can post transformations, you can post like, like these different edits, or like a transformation reel, or how to put captions,
all these things.
This might sound so obvious, but it took me a long time to figure out. So like,
well, but it also wasn't obvious at all to me either. So he definitely helped me skip from like level 0 to level like 1,000 in literally a month or something.
But I think just the blueprint was there, in a pretty big sense. And I knew as well from reels at the time being so, and still obviously, for me, they're not doing as well as of recently, but for you, they're working like crazy.
Yeah.
Reels, the potential on them is huge. And,
the reach can go crazy.
What's it? The Navar Ravikant 4 C's. The C of the 4 things of leverage, right? And content, you can post one piece and it can get millions of views and drive crazy traffic and be like this digital asset that gets you new followers or new engagement, new likes. And how's that materialized for you already in such a short period of time, did you ever think you could make money from it from sponsors? Did you think you could have this roster and you already had the passion of coaching and you'd already done swimming, but you're coaching, girls, to help them gain muscle and lose fat and transform their lives for the better? Like, how does that feel? And you're still even in college.
Yeah, I mean, again, I definitely had no ambitions of getting sponsorships. I mean, I thought it would be cool, and once I had kind of found out about doing like social media and whatnot, I looked into more female fitness influencers, and I started to follow them and look at their content and definitely gain inspiration from that. And I thought it would be cool, but yeah, I did not have any high hopes of getting like sponsorships, or even if I did, I thought maybe I'd get some free products, but I never thought I could make money from that.
And now, what would you say to when you first, how much free products have you got? Like,
I've gotten a lot of free products, and I am now like working on a salary with 2 companies, which is insane, and I never thought that would happen. And the most rewarding is obviously the coaching, because yeah, as you said, and I said a little bit, I was a swim coach for 4 or 5 years. So I have a lot of experience. I mean, tweaking people's form, helping them get better, helping encourage them when they don't want to swim.
But also, what I'd say is you have the temperament. You have the nurturing kind of...
I'm a big people person.
Yeah, and you have that actual coaching, it is like almost like a personality.
Yeah, and I mean, my they weren't clients at the time, my team from coaching and swimming, they all loved me, and I really loved them. And I think that's something that you can't teach, is like you loving them. Like, I really, really cared about my kids. It was usually younger kids who I was coaching in swimming, and I really cared how they did at meets and putting them in events that they were going to do their best in, tweaking their form. I would literally get in the water with them and demo things to show them how to do it best. And I mean, all my kids always saw progressions in their time throughout the season. They would have better form throughout the season. They would enjoy practice more. So I really love that, and just forming a relationship with the kids on the team was so important to me. And yeah, I did that for 4 years. I loved it. I was also a sleepaway camp counselor, and we would teach sports and also swimming there as well. And I got very close with my campers, and just being like a role model for them and being an outlet and person that they can talk to, and motivating them to do things that they didn't want to do.
Do you think you've always been this way, or was, maybe, a close family figure has influenced you to be more people oriented and more of like you genuinely care like a lot?
I think that my temperament, just in terms of my personality, since I've been a really young child, has been super outgoing and just people person. Like, I used to do very briefly ballet classes, and in the ballet classes they called me Giggles because I wouldn't stop making the other girls laugh. Like, I almost got kicked out because of that. Every single teacher I've ever had was always commenting on how I could not shut up. Teachers liked me, but
gregarious.
I'm just outgoing. I love to talk. I'm chatty Cathy. And people would tell me how loud my voice was and how I'm talking to everyone, and I'm so out there and social. So I think it's always been something that's there for me. Both my parents are very empathetic and also very people person. I think my dad, more than my mom, is like outgoing and bubbly and energetic like me. But my mom is a psychologist, so she is obviously, caring, works with people 24/7, helps them help their lives. And then my dad does executive function coaching, which is also working with people and helping their lives. So
very positive.
Ooh, yes.
Very, motivating, and very
so encouraging,
and very introspective, and actually good at communicating, really good, written books good, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, my dad has written 2 books. Yeah, no, they're great, and they also have definitely just been so encouraging, again, of like everything that I've done, and make me think that I can do anything in the world. Like, when I was talking about the colleges and the stress of all that, they didn't put a single bit of stress on me to get a 4.0 and go to law school. Every single stressor that I have has been put on me. They're always like, as long as you do your best, sweetie, that's what matters.
So where do you think that mindset comes from? Because, for example, with my mum being fully Korean,
Hmm.
I know that, I wouldn't say my mum's a tiger mum at all. I would say, she definitely has high standards, even though she doesn't like to believe that.
Hmm.
A lot of Asian parents, for example, out there, they put a lot of pressure on their kids to achieve a certain job, whether that be in like, finance, or that be to be a lawyer or a doctor, etc.
Uh-huh.
And the kids feel immense pressure, and they feel like they can't go and do their own path, or maybe an entrepreneurial venture, or maybe something which,
It's like
is a passion
unconventional,
project.
yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be conventional. It needs to be, clearly, communicated to their friends about some clear hierarchy of this is societally
Yeah.
accepted. So, you know, what do you think if it wasn't your parents placing on you? Why do you have such high standards? Why is your work rate the way it is? I remember you saying to me at one point that, you know, even when you were growing up, yeah, you had the smart kids around you, but there was not too many people that were like, you had a small circle of like friends that you would like work with and stuff, but there weren't really many people that kind of thought like that, or like had that kind of drive at such an early age.
I feel like it's honestly just always been in me. I'm extremely competitive. And usually it was in a good way of competitive with myself, like with swimming. As I said, I wasn't the best, but if I was getting personal best, that meant a lot to me. I like to see improvement with myself. So I think that's why it is a really great combination of like I have this internal drive and my parents are so supportive and encouraging and not placing that additional pressure on me that like it is so great to do bodybuilding because again the great thing with bodybuilding is like you can personally progress and other people can still beat you. And for me, as a competitive person, I think I've been able, as the years have gone on, maybe to channel that competitiveness into me versus me rather than like me versus all these other people and what I can't control. And like in bodybuilding, I think it's huge of like control the controllables.
Yeah.
I'm checking off my boxes daily. And as long as I'm following the plan that I'm given to the best of my ability, then that's all that anyone can ask for. So if I have completely 100% executed my plan and someone happens to show up and they're much bigger than me or much more conditioned, at the end of the day, if I brought a better package than I had before, I'm really happy with that. And there's obviously room for improvement, and I would love to keep developing and getting better. But I think, like, because my parents didn't put that additional pressure on me, there's not that stress of like, but I tried my hard and I still didn't win. Like, I can be happy with they're saying, like, did you try your best? And I'm like, yeah, I tried my best. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, yay.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is like a very healthy mindset.
there's definitely other people out there where the parents might feel obligated to have expectations because maybe they think, oh, well, if I don't put any expectations for my kid, they're going to be a loser and they're going to think that being a loser is okay.
Yeah, I think they saw so early on how harsh I am with myself that they were like, oh God, this girl's gonna crack if we put anything else on her. Because, like, I already was, get home from my sports and immediately do my homework and study for 8 hours for this high school test that is, like, non important, but it meant the world to me. They never felt the need to do this, because I was already doing it. And again, like, they didn't want me to crack.
Yeah. And then just to contrast that actually with, okay, so you grew up super outgoing,
Hmm.
extroverted, and competitive. And how have you found the maybe not so talked about aspects of bodybuilding, which comes to maybe being more isolated and like having to, have these goals and tick these boxes, which doesn't really clearly fit into, you know, normal people's lives, and
Yeah.
it's hard to maybe maintain relationships, or like, if college is such a big area, especially in UCSB, and having your friends initially come out of a sorority, meaning they're obviously heavily involved in partying and stuff, and if that's something that you weren't doing as much, and still you're still in college right now, like how have you dealt with that? Because isn't in one way it's super aligned with your personality, super type A kind of thing, like super
Yeah.
ticking all the boxes, very orderly, very trying to beat yourself, you know what I'm saying? Not really too much break, juggling so many things at once, but doing your school, your internship, your classes, your bodybuilding, everything at the same time.
Yeah.
But the social aspect, which is so you, is actually not, you know,
able
really,
to flourish.
yeah,
Yeah.
like how has that been for you? And obviously we're sure it's not always going to be this way, as there's definitely evidence,
Yeah.
meeting people, etc. But like, how has that been for you, really?
I honestly think that has been the hardest part of like my college experience. So as
And
I
isn't
kind
that
of,
crazy? How many people say, "Oh, college, these I met my best friends forever," and
yeah,
I always see them, and especially someone like you who's never really had an issue, with like friends in the sense of
yeah.
like, you know,
I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to find, especially in the sorority, my bridesmaids, my girls for life. Like I put so much pressure on myself to find that and have that, instant best friend and they're my ride or dies. And as I kind of said, once I stopped going out 4 or 5 times a week, once I found a boyfriend and I settled down and I started pursuing my goals and going to the gym, eating clean, going to bed at 9 o'clock, I didn't have any more stories. I was suddenly the boring friend. Oh, you're not going to come out with us for the third night in a row. You're so boring. And slowly I started to distance myself from that because I didn't want to be made to feel bad for doing what I wanted to do and pursuing things that were genuinely healthy and bettering my life rather than throwing my life down the drain by drinking like an egregious amount 4 or 5 times a week and pursuing nothing and pursuing things I wasn't passionate about. So that kind of rocked my social scene in terms of all the friends that I put all my eggs in the sorority basket. Like I didn't really, maintain any friendships or get close with my roommates who weren't in Greek life. Freshman year, I really only spent time with my sorority friends. So once I got into bodybuilding and they kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and so did I didn't really have many girlfriends at the time. And I spent basically all of the rest of that year and the next year just at Gon's place doing homework together, going on walks, hanging out. And I didn't have any issue with that. Like, I loved hanging out with him. I would, once every quarter or maybe twice a quarter, I would go on a walk with my friend Sophie from orientation. I would call my best friend Abby from home, but she goes to school in Pennsylvania, so the time difference is 3 hours, so we didn't really get to talk all that much. And I would talk to my parents on the phone every single day. I still do. Talk to my sister on the phone pretty frequently too. But in terms of like real life interaction with people, I pretty much went from being a social butterfly to having like no contact with people. And this year especially has been the hardest year for me because Gone graduated and I really feel like I have no friends at school and I can sometimes go the entire day without speaking to a single person.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, well, it's a big difference from what was before. What do you think it's taught you about like friendships, and like maybe has that in a way changed your view on it? Because a lot of people, and you see this in high school, you have good friends in high school, and then how many people do you really still speak to from high school? For me, it's, one or two
Everyone.
closely, and then maybe like three or four, five total that I'll see now and again. But
Yeah.
these are people that I spend every single day with, and I literally don't see them anymore. And it's like, you know, in the moment you think it just seems so normal, and then your life changes. You leave there,
Yeah.
you go to university, and I'm with these guys in university, and still it's like, I don't know, it's almost like I don't know, I don't want to say it's depressing, but it's like how quickly, if you move location or things, tiny things change, how some people are really not there as much as maybe you thought they'd be, or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that has been like helpful to almost evaluate is like, are they a friend because of proximity or are they a friend because they're a friend and like we would stay in contact regardless of if we moved across the country or I would make an effort to go visit them if they moved to a different state or something like that.
Yeah.
And do we really have anything in common other than living in the same area?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing per se to be friends with people who you're in the proximity
Of
with.
course, but has it changed your view on like friendship, like the actual concept of friendship, like true friendship in a sense?
Yeah, I think like it's really important for me to be friends with people who don't necessarily do the same thing that I do, but really can understand why I do what I do, and
They just like you for you.
yeah, and
It's not because
understand
you're
what
doing
makes
this
me
or
tick. And I don't need to explain myself to them. I don't need to apologize for being who I am. And like I said, my best friend from home, Abby, like she doesn't bodybuild. She doesn't do anything like that. She loves, outdoorsy stuff. She loves climbing and hiking and skiing, which I
same with
like
my
those.
best mates as well.
Yeah, like I like those things too. But we're definitely on like different life paths. Like she wants to join the Peace Corps and be completely disconnected from the world. And here I am posting on social media every day. And I think she deleted Instagram. Like we're on really different tracks, but she really understands me and I understand her. And we still make the effort to call each other despite our different time zones. And that is definitely like true friendship. And then I think, as we kind of touched on, going forwards, it would be really nice for me to be able to, both go to the gym with other girls and also just do girly things with other gym girls, because a lot of friendship activities are centered around drinking and eating. And it's really nice to be friends with girls who are also down to bring their meal prep somewhere with me. And, we'll go shopping, but also we have our Tupperware full of food. And they don't need to give me shit for why am I not getting a meal with them? Why am I not getting whatever, going out for drinks with them? So I think it will definitely be nice once I graduate college and am around more girls that bodybuild to just have that connection and almost just like lack of having to explain yourself.
Would you say that, you've changed your mindset on this a lot, or do you think it's more of like a genetic, not genetic necessarily, but like just you as a person, when it comes to like agreeableness, like, obviously people say to me, I'm super disagreeable, I'm super stubborn. And obviously, you probably are more stubborn than you are like agreeable. But there's tons of people out there, right? And we know tons of them who have certain goals, fitness goals, etc., but they can't do them. They can't act on them because they easily give in to peer pressure, or they can't stand on their own 2 feet, or they feel guilty, or they have friends that they know wouldn't support them, and because their friends wouldn't support them, they're not going to do what they actually believe to be best for them.
I have clients like that too, who they'll say either coworkers or their family members or friends or boyfriend or whatever will pressure them to eat out. And as soon as that pressure comes, they immediately snap and give in because, or they don't want to snap, but they just don't know how to stand up for themselves and respond. And I think, again, just temperament wise, I always have been pretty confident. And
so that wasn't a massive, as in like,
I don't think it
do you
changed
think that's
that
just
much.
a genetic thing, or do you think it's more like, more like a logical, I love myself enough to, put myself before the opinions of others?
I think it was honestly kind of neither. I think it's more about my upbringing. I think my parents really, really raised me to be like,
I'm gonna do
you're
this.
a strong woman and you don't take shit from no one. Even like to the point where that got me in some trouble when I was younger. Like when I was younger, I legitimately think I had anger issues. And like at one point,
Still do.
Hey, at one point, I think I literally like slapped a kid in the face because he told me his friend was better at brushstroke than me. And I was like, no, he's not, bop. So I definitely had some issues, but they didn't even care about that. They were like, yes, she's a strong girl, stand up for herself. Which honestly, looking back, maybe that was an issue. But I think they really wanted me to not roll over for anyone. And if I had some strong convictions, stand by them.
Yeah.
And I think that really stuck with me, obviously, because honestly, when people, if they want to, especially being vegetarian, I think that really helped.
Yeah.
Because every day I would have kids saying some shit to me, eat this, eat this. I was like, shut the hell up. Like, I got really good at saying no to eating things. So that was like, I don't know, that comes second nature to me. If people tell me, oh, just have a bite of this, I'm like, actually, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't help my goals.
Very early on meeting you, like, if you almost say you can't do something, you're the kind of person that say, watch me do it.
Yeah. No, I think one of the first things he said to me was like, you can't, I don't know if it was bench 135 or squat 225. Literally the next day I go to the gym, prop up my phone. I'm like, full send a PR. And I sent him a video of me squatting 225 and I was like, there. It was kind of ugly form, but you know what? I think like that kind of stuff really helped me because I ended up building some big legs by squatting heavy weight.
Yeah. Do you think so on the friendship topic? Do you think, or how do you see yourself going forward? Do you think that when you're trying to manage your career and, bodybuilding as your passion and career to do with sponsorships and coaching, that your friends will mainly be in the same, or you hope for them to be on the same path as you? Like realistically, when you're traveling or like, when you're just training on a day-to-day basis with how structured your day-to-day life is, like do you see most of your friends being basically bodybuilders or influencers to an extent, or do maybe it'll be more varied than that?
I think I don't really mind if they are bodybuilders, influencers. I think just in general, having like a fitness lifestyle is really important to me just because some of the things that you can do with people is like going for walks or like going on a hike or something like that, where it's like, again, not centered around food, and people who are in like a fitness and healthy lifestyle and whatnot, like they're about that. But I think something that I have really changed my mindset maybe around with like friends is, I think when I was younger, I didn't even really care if they were a good friend to me, but I just didn't want to be alone. I was really scared of being alone for a while and being
Mm.
independent. I was that girl who was like, "Will you come to the bathroom with me? Will you come get this with me?" Like I couldn't go anywhere alone. I couldn't eat alone. I couldn't, I was very dependent on people. And now of the mindset of, you know, if they're not adding to my life, I would so much rather be alone than to be somewhere where I'm
And what do you
unwanted,
think
not
gave you the
accepted.
confidence to, or like just what do you think made you now think like that?
I think that started freshman year when the sorority stuff kind of was falling apart, and I realized these people do not have the best intentions for me. Maybe it's not malicious, but they definitely didn't really care at the end of the day if I was living my best life or getting towards my goals or anything of that sort. So I think when I started seeing that maybe these people don't have my best interests in mind, or they're not willing to like sacrifice for that or anything like that, I was like, okay, you know, if they're not gonna come eat with me, if they're not gonna go to the gym with me, or not even be okay with me going to the gym by myself because they're gonna get mad at me for not going out to this party, like I am gonna go alone because that's actually what I want. So I started eating every meal alone. I started going to the gym alone, and I actually found a lot of peace from that. And those started to become some of my favorite times a day because I could, reach my goals and be there with my thoughts. And yeah, definitely now I would prefer less alone time, but I would still, again, choose being alone over being with people who don't really value me or my goals and well-being.
100%. And I guess a question more, uh, actually, as I'm, interviewing you, and just with our dynamic, right?
Hmm.
What would you say are some of the biggest similarities and differences between us, and link into the just how you're thinking as we just kind of touched upon, like.
Okay, similarities. I think we're both very structured and love being in routine. Like, we both really love checking off our boxes day in, day out, having like order, having structure, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, having a plan for what we're going to do and when. Um, I think I'm much more extroverted than you are. You really like listening to podcasts, sitting there reading books. You could be alone for a lot longer than I am, like more happily. Um, I think you like to pave your own way and discover new things, and you don't really like being told what to do. You sometimes have issues with authority if you don't think the authority is like relevant, I guess. Like you don't mind breaking rules, and
I think they're stupid rules.
I'm pretty rulesy. I like following rules. I like order. I feel like that goes in with order, but breaking rules stresses me out. And I'm okay with like, I guess, following what is told to do. Like I don't mind being told what to do as long as I see it aligning with my values and I see it getting me where I need to go. Whereas I think like Gon is happier paving his own way and like making his own schedule and not being told what to do by others. I think in ways that were similar. We both are, when we're really passionate, like we're 100% throwing everything we have into it. I think we both have like a little argumentative side. We love to be right. It's really hard for either of us to say, okay, fine, I'm wrong, or you're right. Yeah, do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I definitely see a bunch of those. What do you think, or what does the word mastery mean to you? Obviously, the podcast is called the Mountain of Mastery Podcast. What does mastery mean to you?
I think it's like really, really getting to the top of your craft. So, I mean, in bodybuilding, it's kind of like a constant pursuit because there is no perfect physique. You know, you can always be better. You can refine it more. You can put on more size. You can be more conditioned. But I think, as I've kind of said, like the beauty in mastery is like, I think you can be mastering it before you've, reached your peak physique. Like if you're doing everything right day in and day out, you are following the plan, you are progressing your lifts, you're eating the food you're supposed to, you're hitting your steps, you're getting your sleep, you're
controlling
recovering.
all your inputs.
Yeah, as long as you are really, locked in on the plan and you're doing everything it takes, I think that is pretty masterful. There's always room for improvement, but yeah.
And if I was to say this hypothetical person has mastered life, right? What does that mean to you? Do you think they have a lot of money? Do you think that they're happy? Do you think they have great relationships? Do you think they have great health? Do you think they have great physique? What stands out as when you think of mastery of life? What are the pillars that mean the most to you? Obviously, you need a combination to an extent, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like crazy amount of money is really the thing that jumps out to me. I think obviously having enough to like live and be comfortable, provide for your family, that definitely feels like mastery. But I think like the biggest things that jump out are definitely family. I think if I've like mastered life, I have, I'm near my family, so I can see my parents, my sister. I have a husband who loves me and I love him, and I have kids who we love and take really great care of. We have a dog, maybe 2 dogs, who knows. And, we live somewhere where we have a really solid group of friends around us, people who are like-minded, who share their similar values. I think that's definitely something also that like my parents have done a really good job of modeling, is they have this really tight-knit friend group who we grew up, with their children, going on family hiking trips. They do book club with them still. They go on skiing trips with them. And it's honestly comforting to see though, because they met most of their friends after college, in their adult professional lives. My mom has a best friend from childhood, so does my dad, and that is actually one of his like friends in that hiking group. But most of their friends, they met as adults during their careers. So I think like having a really good group of friends and a really great family, obviously really good health, I think that stands out, because I don't think you can really enjoy the friends and family if you are sick or in a lot of chronic pain. And yeah, just enough money to survive, take care of your family, your friends, do the activities that you want to. But I'm not thinking, oh, they've mastered life because they have a Lamborghini and they have a mansion. Like, that's not it for me.
So someone out there might be thinking, well, you're pursuing bodybuilding and you have all these followers. Does mastery of life mean to you being famous or, being the best bodybuilder? Is that mastery of life to you?
Definitely not. I mean, especially not the best bodybuilder part, because I am natural. I don't take any performance enhancing drugs, and I never will. So being the best bodybuilder, I'm going to be
Health is a bigger priority.
health is a much bigger priority. And also, so I'm competing in the figure division. And while I really respect all the competitors, I honestly don't think I would like to look like the competitors who are at that Olympia level, the top level.
Feminine look.
I still want to look feminine, and I will still be, growing. I'm probably going to do a growth phase and additional cuts and whatever to continue improving my physique. I'm still pretty small. But there is a line where I would draw and say, all right, I don't want to do that. And also just the extreme dieting of the sport is kind of detrimental to your health to a level. Like it can
fertility
mess with your hormones as a woman. You can lose your cycle, and that damages your ability to get pregnant later in life, or it can. So I think like there's a good chunk of time in here in my life where I can pursue bodybuilding and getting better and improving my physique. But again, being the best bodybuilder, just health-wise, that's not a goal for me. Being famous is also not a goal for me. I would like to help a lot more women. And if, getting my name out there to more people is going to help more people, then I think that's a great tool to use. But growing up, I was not one of those kids who, I want to be a rock star. I want to be an actress, or I want to be famous. That was never appealing to me. I really like having my private life and being able to enjoy my people behind like closed doors and not being swarmed in public. Like that was never paparazzi, all that, not appealing to me. So
yeah. And on the topic of values and mastery and what you want to do with your platform, what do you want to do with your platform? If you had a message out there that you want to help women with, is it with their confidence? Is it with their physiques? Is it with their mindsets? Like, what is the most important thing for you to help women with?
I feel like there are a few things. I mean, first of all, I would like to say that lifting will not make you bulky, and being strong is not masculine. And that was something that I struggled with, again, like since I was pretty young, because I had muscle that not a lot of girls had, and I was made to feel wrong, manly for all that. So I think like helping women know that you can be really strong and really feminine at the same time. I love getting my nails done, getting my hair done, doing my makeup, wearing a cute outfit. So being strong it's just a great way to improve your quality of life and help you be confident in all aspects. So I think that's a really important thing for me to get across. And just, there is a lot of misinformation out there on, overcomplicating how to get strong and what will make you bulky and what will make you toned, and just cutting through all that bullshit and really helping them figure out how can I easily get to my goals, and really helping them figure that out is definitely a goal for me. And I think another thing is, don't be afraid to really commit and go all into things, because I think a lot of people are, half in, half out, and they think that they can get this amazing progress in a really short amount of time, because a lot of people are into the, short-term gratification, let me eat my chocolate because it tastes good now. And
or the crazy balance, or the...
Yeah, crazy, but it's 80-20 is okay, but the 80-20 looks more like 50-50.
New age on mediocrity.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like really, really sold the dream of you don't have to work that hard to get these amazing results. And I'm okay with showing them that, I'm actually working really hard. A lot of people want to sell you the dream of, look, you can have it all. You can, be half in and still get crazy results.
But they're just profiting off you in some way.
They're profiting off either their genetics, or they're just lying, or all these things. And I'm willing to show, hey, actually, I'm like working insanely hard over here for the results I've gotten.
But you're proud of it, and you're not ashamed to show.
I'm really proud of the work that I put in, and you guys should not be afraid to put the work in, and also be okay with the fact that it might take you 2 years, 3 years to build the muscle you want, to get as strong as you want, to lose the weight, to do whatever, to get these amazing results. And that, I feel like, makes it even more impressive because you're willing to do hard work without seeing immediate results.
As a woman, showing yourself actually training hard and trying hard, I think there's a certain maybe, stereotype or kind of this notion that women, in order to be successful or to be like, they need to be graceful in being good at something. They can't be trying too hard. They can't be putting too much effort in. That's maybe like too manly. They need to be like effortless and graceful and gliding to the finish line every time.
Yeah. I think like, even in terms of how I train in the gym, in the beginning when I was training, first of all, I was afraid of trying new things because I didn't want to look stupid. And second of all, I was afraid to train to failure because I didn't want to make funny faces in the gym. And I didn't want to maybe make a noise in the gym. I wanted to be silent. I wanted to be, looking serene, as he was saying. And you have to realize that the best results are going to come from training to failure.
There's a lot of girls on that might be coming up, and they look at all these influencer workouts. They look like they're doing a light dumbbell workout, and they grow crazy glutes, and they're just looking. It's more like a makeup show or like a runway show. But they actually think they're going to get the results with that kind of. They look like they're not even trying in their lifts. It looks aesthetically pleasing for Instagram, but
yeah. Well, I mean, what they need to realize is that either those girls are doing their real workouts and then going back to the gym, putting on the makeup, the hair, the outfits, and filming just a full day of filming to demo the exercises, but that's not actually where they're training. Or these girls are genetically blessed and they have naturally tiny, waists, big glutes.
There's no amount of crunches or diet that's going to get your waist.
You can't say drop the workout routine, girl, drop the ab routine, drop the diet, because guess what? They were born that way and you're not going to look like them no matter what you do. So I think like if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Look into it a little bit more, do your own research. Don't trust everything that you hear online. And, also don't be afraid to get a little bit ugly and a little bit like, sweaty
it's
in
cool
the gym.
To work hard.
It's really cool to work hard.
Because growing up in England, I guess for guys, and I played rugby, it wasn't, it's cool to try hard. But in a lot of things, in academics, for example, as I said, it was not cool to get good grades. It was actually looked down upon, like you are a tryhard, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
crazy.
They had this word, you're unique. You know what I'm saying? And I actually liked how California didn't have that. It was cool to get good grades.
Yeah.
And that's why people ask, why is the entrepreneurship so crazy there? Why is the business so crazy there? Not only do they want to see their friends and family and just people succeed, they're more open to business. They're more positive.
Yeah.
And they will congratulate people trying things and trying hard.
Yeah.
Hard work is cool in America. In England, if you work too hard and you don't have the results, which as we just mentioned earlier, you cannot get the results without the hard work in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not cool. It's only cool when the guy's made it in England. But
but then I mean, for all the people who are in those beginning phases and they're trying and they are not seeing the results yet, it's not cool, and they'll never get through because they'll give up before it becomes the success.
Yeah. So one of the last topics I want to talk, come to is business. How has your idea of business changed in the last few years, especially when it comes to having, seen the potential to make a living from online coaching, which to make that kind of money, I'm sure you couldn't imagine doing that a few years ago. But seeing how you can leverage an audience and you can provide value and you can build trust and have a personal brand. And that means that you can travel and work and you don't need to necessarily work in a job. And you can actually determine with your work the income you make with the right systems.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think last year I was working as a front desk, employee at a gym, and I was making maybe $300 a month because I would work extremely part-time. I didn't really have that much time. And I was really worried about being able to pay for a gym membership. I never really saw myself as being able to make enough money in college to afford anything for myself. I think it's really great that I have found something that I love so much and that I genuinely look forward to doing every day that happens to make money for me, that like with coaching, I am so excited to see my clients' check-ins. I'm excited to message them back and see how they're doing and provide encouragement or, a meal plan swap or a form correction or anything like that. Like, it doesn't feel like a job. And I think like one of the best sayings is whatever, like for the person who loves walking will walk the furthest. Like, I really love coaching, and I've always loved coaching with swimming, and now with, swimming was not life-changing for anyone, but doing one-on-one health, personal fitness coaching, it can be life-changing. I've had girls who, one of them was extremely overweight. She lost over 25 pounds with me. She said she's never been able to lose that much weight in her life. She's tried for years. Her entire family is clinically obese, and she's really trying to escape that cycle. Like, that can be life-changing. So being able to see that impact on people and being able to help and provide encouragement and show them that fitness can be really fun and sustainable and, a way to change your life in every aspect. Most of the girls that come to me aren't just coming to me to like, oh, I want to look sick. They're coming to me because I'm not that confident in most of my life. And I really think that, building myself up in the gym can help me gain confidence in my job, in my relationship. That is really meaningful. So actually being able to have an impact on people, like when I said I wanted to go into law, I wanted to do public defense law, which is like, providing representation to people who can't afford it themselves. I really wanted to have an impact on people in some way. And I think this has been an extremely beneficial way to help so many people, even like the people who are not, using my one-to-one coaching service. If, them watching my dedication, my training, my, commitment to my goals, read the captions and get value and learn how to work out and learn how to eat right and learn discipline through my posts to such a wide audience, like that means everything to me.
Yeah. And on the topic of business, what do the terms marketing, sales, and product mean to you right now? They might not mean a lot, but from actually having started your own business at 20 years old when you started it, not many people have started their own business at 20 years old. Like, they probably are unfamiliar with those words in the sense that you know it now. What do those words mean to you?
Wait, is marketing, what's the second one?
Sales and product.
Okay. Well, marketing, I think for me is mainly the social media right now. That's the main way that I'm like reaching new audiences. I'm showing them what I have to offer. I'm kind of getting my message out there. And sales, I think sales is something that I had no clue about before I started, and I'm honestly still so new to it, and I have so much to learn. But
the process of talking with someone,
sales is really,
the money transferring from their bank account to yours, being a thing that you're never taught in school.
Yeah, and I had to figure out how to use Stripe and to set up, the payment
there's a whole
processor,
psychology behind it,
and yeah, figure out, how am I going to communicate everything that I have to offer to this potential client
to solve their needs,
to solve, what problem they're going through, and how are we going to mutually benefit. That was something that I'm still learning, as I said.
You've done great.
I've done well considering the lack of knowledge that I have and the lack of, honestly, like education and like time that I've put in. I think I haven't really, there's a lot for me to learn on the business side. And while I've been full-time in college, I have not been putting any time into learning any of those skills. So I'm excited, like once I graduate, to really be able to understand so much more of the business side of things and even just have more organization, a better service for my clients, all that kind of thing. And then right now, product is really just the one-to-one coaching at the moment. I don't have any, 8-week workout guides or anything like that. Although that may be something that I can look into for people who don't have the financial means to afford a one-to-one coach, because it definitely is a premium service, and I would say it's worth it for the people who have the funds, but there are people who are at a point in their life where they can't afford that. So
do you see yourself as an entrepreneur or a businesswoman at the moment?
I think I'm a growing businesswoman, and I think as I spend more years in this, I will hopefully grow into that role a lot more and figure out a lot more, just especially in terms of like marketing and sales. I think the product obviously will grow as I learn more. I'm going to invest my time into more J3U, which is like an online coaching education platform.
And then
So
building up the service. Yeah.
yeah, the product will become better
Yeah.
as I just become more experienced. But
Do you
I
see
think
yourself as a businesswoman or entrepreneur?
I think yes. I think I'm a very new businesswoman and entrepreneur.
And, just almost last kind of questions to wrap up everything, right? What would you say your main values are at this point in your life right now? What is most important to you? Obviously, you've mentioned family is massive, but what is most valuable to you, and what are your values that you're deeply inspired by,
I think something that's always been with me is like commitment. Like when I say I'm going to do something, I'm always going to follow through with that. And I think that ties into like trust and promises, because I think my word means a lot. And if I say that I'm going to do something, I've committed to it, then I want my word to be very trustworthy. So people know that if I've said I'm going to do something, I will deliver on that. I think obviously family, huge. I literally call my parents almost every single day. I call Gone obviously every single day while we're long distance. Going along with like the commitments, I have committed to finishing school. And so right now I am working really hard to graduate. I have one more quarter of school, so that's 10 weeks. But I wouldn't say school is like at the top of my priorities. And given that I am about to start my first bodybuilding prep, bodybuilding is pretty high up there right now. I think it always will be. I don't think even, when I was in a very long bulking growing season, I was still making sure, again, supplements, steps, training, cardio, everything is always in check. I feel like those are my really top, values and priorities. I think like personal growth is huge. I'm always, again, just trying to be the best version of myself, beat myself, bring a better version of myself to each day. And I'm trying really hard to almost have like tunnel vision and just not focus on outside noise and comparison as much, because within the world of social media, it's so easy to look at people who have more followers, more money, a better physique, all these things that you don't have, and get caught up in the fact that you're not there yet. But I'm trying to just,
So valuing your own process and your journey.
yeah,
Yeah.
really take pride in what I can do and take it day by day.
Yeah. And then last question, I just think this will be cool to look back on one day. What do you think has been the biggest difference in your thinking, or since we've met, what do you think the biggest influence has been on you, right? And how maybe you've seen the world before and after?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that shifted for me was almost like, I'm trying to think about how to word this. It's like giving yourself permission to do something unconventional and to have that trust in yourself and follow your passions. Because when I met Gone, like, I don't think I'd ever met someone who was so passionate about something, who was so sure in themselves that they would make it work. And, you were not ashamed to say, like, this is what I want. I'm going to go out there and get it. This is the path that I'm going to pursue. Yeah, it's not normal, but, I really want this and I love it. And you really I think once I saw that you had that fire and that passion for bodybuilding, for this whole other life path, I was like, oh my God, like I've been missing out on something because I don't have that passion about anything. I don't have that, belief in myself that I can go out there and make something work because I love it so much and I would do anything to make it work. And I think even just seeing that like that's out there, it really inspired me to figure out what is something that I'm that passionate about that I would do anything to make it work. And I would, leave behind the traditional path because Gon is so smart. He could have done any job. Like, and he had no doubts about, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to additional school after this. I'm not going to pursue a job. Like, I love this and I'm going to make it work. So I think that was really, really inspiring.
Very high compliment from you indeed. But with that, I think, thank you for being my first guest on this podcast. I think it was a
Couldn't
great
have it any other way.
insight into you as a person. And I think it's just an awesome time capsule as well, just to maybe look back on one day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was Eliya Denali. Where can they find you on Instagram, TikTok? Is it YouTube as well?
I think I technically have YouTube, but there's 0 videos. Yeah, with school it's tough, but once I graduate, trust, I'm gonna be posting. I'm on Instagram and TikTok as Eliya Lifts. That's Eliya Lifts.
Yeah.
And then
And how can they support you?
you can support me by following me. You can support me by using code Eliya at Evagen or Wolfpack.
And that's Eliya.
Yes. At Wolfpack, it's Eliya 10. Helimix, it's Eliya. Angel Competition Bikinis, it's Eliya. And Evagen, Eliya. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next podcast.